Hey guys, I'm going to be taking you through my complete digital art painting process. From start to finish, I'm going to be telling you guys exactly what I'm thinking and why I make the decisions that I make. Okay, first thing I always do is look up a reference on Pinterest, because drawing without a reference is kinda smelly. Pinterest just delivers you the goods because it always sends similar images, so you're not stuck looking for the perfect reference. Wow, look at this, bro. Pinterest knows what I want. It already has all these women, these cute girls on my page because it knows my search history. Whoa, okay, these are getting whoa, these are way.
Lord have mercy. We must stay focused, brothers. We must stay focused.
I think I might do this one. Might change up the background a little bit, maybe. This one looks so sick. Wattpad.com, no shot. Damn. If you guys don't know, there's this goddamn motorcycle. Anyways, if you guys are on Windows, you guys have to download this app called Microsoft Power Toys. One of the things that allows you to do is keep a tab on top of your display. So right now, if I open up OBS and then click out of it, the OBS disappears and I'm onto the tab that I clicked on. But with Microsoft Power Toys, if I click the Windows Control T button, it will pin that tab on top of everything, and so if I click off, the tab won't disappear. And so now with my reference pulled up, I could use Chrome like any other app without having to go back and forth opening and closing the tabs. Okay, we're now in Photoshop, but before we start, there's one really important thing that we gotta do, okay? And that is to put on some music. If you're somebody who doesn't listen to music or like a podcast while drawing, seek help, professional help. I use my chalk brush to sketch. It really isn't anything special. It's literally just like a round brush slanted into a parallelogram with like the tiniest bit of texture. This brush is actually like my main brush that I use, which goes to show you really don't need anything special to create a piece you're proud of. It's not the brush, but the artist who uses it. Something like that. In my style, I have like an anime / like semi-realism thing going on, so I sort of try and emphasize shapes, but a little bit more specifically, I try and look at what the angles of my lines should look like. For example, if you look at the hoodie, I'm emphasizing the sharpness of the fold, while on the face, the lines are a lot more rounded and, less angular. I'd say since I'm intermediate at drawing, I can look at the big shapes and lines at the same time. But let's say if you're struggling with that, just focus on the shapes, and then after you get those big shapes down, you can go back in and add the details with lines that break up said shape. Side note, name a more iconic duo than Asian women and oversized clothing. I'll wait. Oh wait, you can't. COVID. Okay, one of the other useful Microsoft Power Toys tools I used here is the color picker. If I click Windows Shift C, I can color pick any pixel on my screen, and a pop-up will appear with that color and different shades of that color. I just copy the hex code and paste it where the hashtag is at the bottom of the color cube thingy. I recommend only using this if you're trying to save time on a painting and not if you're trying to learn. If you're still learning, you should try and handpick the color by eye. I start off with mid-tone / unsaturated colors. Keep in mind this is relative to your style. Overall, I use a lot of saturated colors. So, for example, the skin. I'd stay within this saturated zone of colors, and then I'd pick a color that is a mid-tone within this zone. Oh, that was a bar. I feel if I start with something too light or too dark of a color, it's very hard to blend that color in with the rest of the area later on. So unless I get that initial color right, I'm screwed on trying to fix it later on. Which, by the way, you are never going to get the initial color right. I used to cry and feel so demoralized after spending like 30 minutes picking the right color, only for it to look like trash. When I started using midtones as a base color, they didn't look perfect, but it was just the right amount of okay that I'd be able to move on with the painting process and have the confidence that I'd be able to perfect that area later on in the painting process. I'm not really focusing too hard on following the sketch because well, the background sketch was literally blobs. I think that's because I really wanted to start painting as soon as possible, so I sort of just rush areas that don't need too much attention. I like to bounce around the painting and just work on an area, like the hoodie for example, for like 75% of the way there, and then go to the background and complete 15% of it, and then go to the hair, and then go back to the hoodie. That's probably just an indicator that I got like zero attention span and I get bored like every couple of minutes. I know people who are very rigid and love the feeling of like filling in lines and slowly building something from front to back, and I sort of get that like sometimes. I guess y'all should just identify what you like more, and that will shape your style of painting. As you can see, I'm trying to bring some of the oranges onto the hoodie and like the face because of the background bounce light that hits those areas. I really love to emphasize that. It's like a part of my style, and I really feel like it makes those areas a lot more interesting. As I'm progressing through the painting, I'm lowering my opacity on my sketch layer more and more, and so I have to redefine those edges, which are a little faded. At this point in the painting, I've basically stopped looking at my reference completely and kind of just applying my style of painting. The rest of the process is literally just darkening shadows and adding highlights and like just rendering basically. I've defined most of the shapes in the painting, so this is what I'd like to call the flow state, where I'm not really critically thinking and I'm comfortable and I'm just kind of blowing through the painting. I'm defining the shadows here and there, but there are points that I do get stuck at, where I have to focus back up again and like think about how dark I want this line to be or how dark I want this area to be. After working on the bear for a little bit, I started doing the hair. Oh, that's a bar, which is kind of a struggle point for me. Hair is like, although it's fun, it's very free flowing, so you could do basically whatever you want with it, but at the same time it's really hard not to draw each individual strand. Also, at this point in the painting, I'm trying to tell myself not to get caught up in the details because it's really easy to fall into that trap, and that's how you end up working on a painting for like half the day. I have most of my painting done, it's just now I'm trying to add detail without going overboard. I've definitely heard this from some other YouTuber, but I'm thinking right now, how can I convey information with the least amount of work, or brush strokes in our case. Here I start adding detail to the bear, trying to add like a base of where the shadows and light will be. Later on I'll add the texture, but I'm defining the shape of the light and darks right now, as that's what tells us, oh yeah, that's a bear. Here you can see me adding detail to the bear, and I've basically only been using the default brushes plus my chalk brush. I then just randomly switch back over to the hoodie and start defining lines again. So you can see firsthand how my mind just jolts from area to area. I notice something needs to be fixed in the painting, and so I go and do it. You know the advice like leave your artwork for a day and then come back tomorrow and you'll notice all the issues? Yeah, it's like that, but like on the micro scale. Painting is really just a bunch of problem solving too. I guess the solution is like applying the fundamentals, and the method you use to get the solution is your specific art style. There's no right or wrong way to find the solution, as long as you end up in the right spot. Okay, so basically I've come to like 95% done with the character, so I'll move on to the background. I used to be someone who would get the background like 90% done and then bring the character in, but I guess as I got more skilled, I was able to complete the background to like 30% and then start working on the character early, because I was confident that I'd be able to make the character fit the background. Before, if the background wasn't like completely finished, I would spend years trying to make the character fit in. Now, I just finish whatever the focus of the painting is first. In this case, it's a character-driven piece, so I finished the character first, and then moved on to the background. I'm just doing some simple shading here and not adding too much texture because, well, 1, this is the background, and 2, most of the bears are in the shadow where you lose a lot of the details. Once I finish the bears, I go back to the character and add any final details that I can. The painting portion of this piece is basically finished, and now I can do some post-processing with adjustment layers and blurs and stuff. I bump up the saturation for the whole piece, and yeah, that's basically the painting. I hope this voiceover helped, and I have some more detailed tutorials coming up, so subscribe for that. And here, you can have a look at the final painting again. Hope you enjoyed.